nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry Austin, and as you can tell by my shirt, it's raining here in San Antonio, thunderstorm. So reason for the delay of the start, I dropped AJ off at practice, and then as soon as I got back to the house, hey, practice was canceled due to lightning, thunder, and heavy winds. And Rafa, so thank you for dealing with me 45 minutes late. Heavy rain, Claybor 1604, the lights were out, so that made it even funner. Just it's through here, but down in Laredo, I hear you're experiencing some weather down there as well.
Yeah, we're getting I just looked out. I heard something wailing outside, and it was like, oh, it looks like we have a dust storm coming in, and all the wind. So, but no rain. So it was 100 degrees today here in Laredo, so that was fun.
Well, the good news is I'm not on the tight schedule like I used to be for it here, but that also means I didn't prepare the schedule for it here. But let's start with the TAPPS playoffs because that's kind of going on, and then we'll do the Power 15, and then we'll go into the standings and kind of talk along those lines here. I did not know that they had changed. I thought both the boys and the girls playoffs for TAPPS were on the same weekend. That was not true. So the boys are already done. So we'll start with them here. Since we last spoke for here, Prestonwood beat St. Thomas. Antonian upset Nolan Catholic because originally you had Nolan Catholic, I think, going through here. Village School upset John Paul II out of Plano, which I think is a surprise because it's a Houston school upsetting a Dallas school. Yeah. And Central Catholic got by Trenton Christian Academy. So District 2, which is Houston, San Antonio, had 3 of the 4 teams. Prestonwood versus Central Catholic, 0-0 for the finals. Prestonwood Christian, won on PKs. I believe it was 5-4. So they are your TAPPS Division 1 boys champions. So you got to give credit to me. I think Antonian making it to the Final Four and Central Catholic and both represented San Antonio well.
Yeah, I mean, great season for the Buttons, but also for the Apaches. Able to get a couple great quality wins, and we're close to having an all San Antonio final. It may happen. Hopefully, maybe in the future we'll have an all San Antonio final. But like I said, the Buttons advance just fell short on PKs. Did hear that they did dominate the game. Just couldn't really find the goal, and the Village took advantage of it. And Presswood took advantage of it and won in PKs.
Yeah, so to me, like I said here, a great season for Central Catholic, especially after the year last year that they had, which was a little disappointing for them, I think, if you were to ask them. But they definitely rebounded, making it to the TAPPS state final here, obviously well representative. Division 2, also some surprises, I think, here. Since we last talked, your bracket-wise didn't do very well, but Bishop Dunn lost to Legacy Christian 2-1. St. Michael's Catholic got by Grapevine Faith Christian. I forgot to put the score there. Brownsville Joseph 6-0 over San Antonio Christian. But the one that you had originally picked was Beaumont Kelly. They lost to TMI Episcopal 5-1. Then in the semifinals, Brownsville Joseph knocked off TMI again for the third time, 2-1. And Legacy Christian beat St. Michael's Catholic out of Austin 2-0. And then Legacy Christian got by St. Joseph Brownsville 2-0 today. So one of your DFW powers, was able to come through and knock it off. But I think to me, once again, I think, South Texas, and if you include Austin into that, represented, 3 out of the final 4. Now, and, just like in Division I, the Plano team, Frisco team ended up winning it all. But to get 3 out of 4 teams, to me, is an accomplishment. I would like to think.
Yeah, I think it looks. You can see that that gap, because we saw that gap with the Dallas and Austin, San Antonio, South Texas area, including Houston. It was kind of wider for a while, but now it's starting to close, and you can see great seasons by Brownsville, St. Joseph's, and the Austin schools, and getting that TMI, not getting that big upset over Beaumont Kelly, who was heavily favored to win it all. It just shows that our the TAPPS teams in our area are getting stronger, better, and really closing that gap against Dallas.
Now, Division III, to me, I guess kind of an upset. So in the regionals, the Comet Dallas beat Brook Hill 1-0, and what I thought was kind of the matchup of the round. Prince of Peace Carrollton rolled Pantego Christian 8-0. New Braunfels Christians lost to St. Thomas Episcopal 5-0, and British International School rolled Cyprus 4-1. However, and this is where I think, because you had British International and the Convent both going to the final, St. Thomas was able to get the victory. But to me, just, in speaking with you and Coach Cano, anytime the Convent loses is typically an eyebrow raiser, but Prince of Peace of Carrollton ended up getting by the Convent, and then, of course, ended up beating St. Thomas Episcopal out of Houston 1-0 to win the championship for that here for TAPPS Division III.
Yeah, like I said, we had 2, I think, kind of perennial favorites with the Covenant and the British school. But, great job for the teams in the semifinals to kind of throw a little curveball on us. And like I said, Prince of Peace winning it all. So, it shows that, this Division III was very competitive and really also unpredictable towards the end, because some teams really kind of took advantage of those big wins and able to carry on and go to, get to the final.
So moving to the ladies, that's still going on right now. Let me see if we got because they didn't have the Ursuline score updated when I did these here. Let's see if it's been updated at this point here. So I know John Paul, 2 out of Plano, got by Bishop Lynch 2-1. And this is Division I. Let me see if they've updated it here. And one second here. Yeah, Ursuline did get through. According to here, it's a 1-0 win. I'm just trying to. Actually, they advanced in PKs, 3-1 PKs. So Ursuline Academy advanced past Parish Episcopal of Dallas in PKs 3-1 for that here, which sets up a final tomorrow at 2 p.m. Ursuline Academy out of Dallas, and John Paul second out of Plano for that here. I'm just trying to see. Really no. This is the round. This is the bracket that basically Division I wiped out Division II, which is the San Antonio, Houston area for that here. So, any thoughts? I know Ursuline's a major powerhouse. You give John Paul 2 out of Plano a chance, or?
I think with the result we just saw, them going, Ursuline getting taken to PKs, that's going to be positive for John Paul to see, hey, this team is vulnerable, and if we can get a lead ahead and and keep it, we can win this. So it's going to be a very competitive game. Like I said, I'll still give the edge to Ursuline because of the tradition, the history of that school of winning all those multiple championships. But to be tested that early on, and they'll get tested there in the semifinal, what are the ramifications going to tomorrow? How going into overtime, going to the PKs, how fresh
double
is this?
overtime and PKs.
Yeah. So how fresh is this team going to be, and can John Paul, take advantage of that? And like I said, if they can get a lead and kind of wear them out, I think they could pull off the upset. But like I said, I think Ursuline still has, because like I said, they have the history, the tradition, they've been there. I think they'll have this slight edge, but I think this will be a very competitive game.
D2, Southwest Christian got upset by St. Michael's Catholic out of Austin. Grapevine got by Liberty Christian out of Argyle. San Antonio Christian made it to the semifinals. And St. John 23 College Prep out of Katy got by Lutheran South, which set up semifinals earlier today. Grapevine Faith got by St. Michael's Catholic out of Austin. So the both boys and girls from St. Michael's went to the Final Four for TAPPS. So congratulations. And San Antonio Christian unfortunately lost a close one today to your favorite St. John Paul 23rd by a score of 2-1, which sets up Grapevine Faith versus St. John 23.
So like I said, your typical Dallas Houston matchup here, and it's going to be great. Kudos to San Antonio Christian, to almost, taking them to the limit, just losing by a goal, and it could have tipped either way on that game. But hats off to them. Like I said, I think they'll bounce back from this, and I think they can make another run for next year.
And to me, what stands out, if you look at the scores, 12-0 over St. Anthony Catholic out of San Antonio, 4-0, and then a close 2-1, which, to me kind of sets them up, I think, for a very good final. And that final is at noon tomorrow for that here. And then the third one, it's the fourth one, right? Basically, the Convent got by McKinney Christian 1-0. Let me check to see if it was PKs, if it's been updated to that, because with 1-0 is on there. Nope. So 1-0. And then in the Battle of San Antonio area schools, John Paul II out of Schertz got by Geneva 1-0, for there here. So sets up John Paul Schertz versus the Convent in round 4. And it's 2-1 JP2, right?
Yeah. And this has been the matchup the last 4 years, and JP's looking to get the repeat here. And like I said, they've traded titles in the last 3, and here, JP's looking for that. Like I said, to get that second title in a row. It's going to be an awesome game. But also kudos to Geneva, to taking making that game close, and they really stormed in the playoffs, and they have nothing to be ashamed of. They can hang their head high for what they accomplished. But JP's second's on a mission to get that repeat, and it's like Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G. that's what you see this this matchup. I'm sure they do not like each other, and they're going to lay it on the line tomorrow to who gets that title.
And that match is at 10 a.m. Tomorrow morning. I think what stood out to me for Geneva is you and I went back and forth because you had predicted Cypress Christian to get by, and then I was leaning more to JP2. You actually leaned to Cypress Christian to go forward with it. But I think when we had our discussion, it was a 50-50 shot. So and for Geneva to blow them out 6-0 was a huge statement to me on the progress that Geneva's made. So originally you thought the Convent was going to get by Cypress Christian. You still believe that they're going to host the trophy, or you think JP2 coming through the trek that they did will get the 3rd out of 4?
I think JP2, I think I think they're on a mission, and like I said, there's no love lost between these two, and I think it's going to be a very close one. I can see this one going to overtime, maybe even PKs, but I think JP2 brings that title home back again for a second straight year in a row.
But that should be good. And I'm gonna get Coach Cano. If you need to put me on mute right now, please do. I would have loved to have watched the TAPPS playoffs, but for $10 for division of gender. Well, it wasn't game. It was $10 for. You could have watched all of Division II girls for $10 and change. $12 rounding up. But to watch all six divisions, or all six brackets, I guess you could say, would have ran you close to $70. And to me, you're talking what, 6 times 4, 24. Well, so 3 matches on each, 6 matches, so 36 matches. To me, I think it's just way too much. For me, I think they could get more of an audience. On the on the app, on the thing there. If they would have charged $15-$20 for everybody, I probably would have paid that just to be able to watch it. Be able to watch it, but to be able, because to me it's entertaining soccer that you're able to get. But TAPPS, you got to do better. I know you're private, but still, you still got to do better.
Maybe they need to go to the Texan Live. They can give them a better deal for that. Or NFHS, I'm sure the production, whichever one.
I'm sure the production was good. I didn't watch it or see it here. So I'm sure it's worth the money, and I know it's not cheap to film these games and to produce them and all that stuff. But that's just, if you want to grow the game, if you want to have the get TAPPS out there a little bit more, to me, I think they missed the mark on that here. So, any final thoughts on TAPPS before we move to Rafa's Power 15?
Just like I said, just enjoyed the TAPPS season, giving them coverage. Much to love for them, because, like I said, not many cover them, and I'm glad we do cover them. Show them that there's some quality soccer, some great teams there, and I think they can also could compete in the UIL districts and so forth, and maybe even make deep runs into the playoffs and so forth. But kudos to all the state champs and the runner-ups and the teams that went into the Final Four, and for the ladies, good luck to them for tomorrow's game.
JB2, bring it home. So Rafa's 15. I'm just going to warn Rafa up front. I was kind of in a hurry. Work was super crazy. I didn't get as much time as I normally would have liked to. So if there is errors, I do apologize for it here. He gave it to me yesterday, and I was like, I'll do it today. I'll do it last night, and I got sidetracked, and then, life happened. So dropped from the 15th, Antonian, ended the year 23-4. They were 15th last week, so right on last, and they dropped out. But I don't remember in the 2-3 years we've been doing this, the fall of Lee. Last ranking, which was 2 weeks ago, they were 4th. I think they may have had 1 loss at that point.
Had 0 losses, I think, at that point.
Well, no, because they were number 1 for a period, right?
Yeah. No, they were like number 2.
Number 2, but then they had a loss, and then you dropped them to 4, and then since then, they've got more L's, through there. So, 15-5, 9-4. You got to assume some sort of injury or possibly club type situation, maybe for that here, just because they are a quality team. When we get to the standings, they're still comfortably in the playoff rounds, but unfortunately they did drop from Rafa's rankings for that here, and they're not even on the just missed either, which was kind of surprising. So just missed. Wimberley's still on there. Kennedy's still on there. Antonian dropped from 15, just missed here, but their season's over. So barring other results. Most likely they'll finish there, possibly slide further down depending on other results. Canyon and Pleasanton has moved up to there here. So your kind of thoughts on the 5 that you got that's just out, and if you want to comment on Lee, being out of it as well.
Yeah, with Lee, 3 losses in a row really kind of hurt them here with the rankings. I know they got a win last night, but they just squeaked by Marshall, and I expected more for them from that game. Like I said, me and Steve Sanchez, who were the 55th, we broadcasted the game last Friday, and they just had, they look, like I said, they're a talented team, but something something must be going on. I don't know if it's injuries or they're missing key players, like you mentioned, maybe from club soccer. They had a really tough time beating Reagan, trying to even create chances, because the first time they beat Reagan 1-0, and ever since that first loss, they've kind of really slipped down. But hopefully, maybe they get out of that win they got last night, the night before, to get out of that slump and start picking it up and getting ready. They're still a dangerous team,
Yeah.
Especially going to the playoffs. So don't take them lightly because they lost. Like I said, those 3 losses against quality teams, those 4 losses against quality teams. So like I said, 28-6A for the girls is probably one of the toughest districts in the state. So that's no shame on who they lost. It's just going to get them ready for the playoffs. But as far as with the next 5, like I said, Wimberley, like I said, they're still in there. Like I said, a couple of games behind Bernie. Antonia, great season. We're surprised that they had that loss. I expected them maybe go a little bit deeper. Especially some great wins they had in the district play. Just kind of, like I said, I'm surprised about that. Canyon, there's been winning some great games. They're kind of flying a little under the radar. I have seen them play. They got a great team. I saw them when they beat Austin Bowie. So they're going to cause some problems there in 26-5A. Kennedy, like I said, they did suffer their first loss against Navernia, but they're still, like I said, great season for them. And then the newcomer, Pleasanton, they're dominating that district, 28-4A. Keep an eye on them. They could maybe do some damage on coming also in the playoffs as well.
So moving to number 15, if I can find my cursor here. The Lady Unicorns out of New Braunfels, out of 6A27, 12-5-2, 6-0-1, and they move up from the just missed of last week's rankings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, New Braunfels, like I said, they've kind of bounced back since their non-district schedule. Like I said, they've taken control of 27-6A. It's going to be interesting, like I say, if they win the district, who they match up with 28-6A. Could it be Brandeis or could it be Lee, in that first round game? I think that'll be a really good competitive game, moving forward.
Number 14, Davenport, the Wolves, the Lady Wolves, 4A26, 16-5-2 and 6-2-1 in district. Also got promoted from the just missed.
Yeah, Davenport, like I said, they've bounced back with a couple losses. They've been some great wins. I mentioned 26-4A for the girls. You got 3 quality teams, like I said, with Wimberley and also with Bernie. I expect that, like I said, for the second spot, it's going to be a dogfight between Davenport and Wimberley, who gets that second seed, and it could potentially mean hosting a playoff game in that first round.
13, the Lady Panthers from O'Connor, out of 6A29, 14-5-9-3. One thing I've noticed about O'Connor is they've strung together quite a few wins here recently. Yeah,
after a couple losses, I know that they get swept by TAPPS in their district this year. They had another loss with Brendan. They did slip down a lot of people
are getting swept by TAPPS.
Yeah, so they slipped down, but they're still a competitive team. I think they'll do well, especially because they're on the kind of the other side of the bracket. I could look what they did last year. I could see them getting into a regional semifinal. So they got a quality team, and so keep an eye on them, what they do in the playoff. But what's important is can they get that second seed or the third seed? that's going to be important because maybe that avoids them from playing TAF again in that regional quarterfinal. Especially that third seed, they'll probably see them again. So I'm sure they'll probably want to get that second seed so they can advance through.
Also from 6A29, moving up one, Brendan Bears, 9-3, also in district, 15-5.
Yeah, Brendan, same thing. Like I said, they got swept with season by TAF, but they got a good win. Like I said, bounce back win against O'Connor. So like I said, those two are fighting it out for that second seed. They still got some tough games coming up. Like I said, that Warren team, that Sotomayor team. They got to kind of, if they can Brendan can maintain and win out their district games, they'll end up getting that second seed.
Number 11, Lavernia Bears, 4A27. Last week, 14th, moved up a little bit. 10-3-2, 5-0-2 in district. I still sense you're probably a little bit disappointing based on your preseason thoughts for them.
Yeah, I honestly thought they would dominate 27-4A, but they have a couple of draws. But they did get a quality win against Kennedy, so that's got them in first place right now in district. And like I said, hopefully they'll continue on and keep on winning their games and start getting start picking up the right time. And I think they can do some things in the playoffs, but it'll be tough if they have matchup with maybe Wimberley or Bernie or even Davenport. That could be a challenge for them, but it'll still be an exciting game, to see them in the playoffs.
Number 10, the Johnson Jaguars, 10-1-1. Last week 12, so they've improved to 12-4-2 on the season.
Yeah, Johnson's got, I think, kind of finally got it together. Had a little rough start of the season, missing some players. I know they had that tough loss against South Lake Carroll, but you see on their district schedule, they've roared back in contention for the district title for 28-6A. They got that big win against Lee, and I think ever since then they've been, been very dominant. They got a tough one tomorrow night against Reagan, which is for the Ian's Cup. That should be, if you have a chance, head out there
for first place too.
Yeah, for first place too. So this probably could be your district championship game here. So head out there to Blossom, and it's going to be a great game between Reagan and Johnson. And like I said, it's going to be a classic. So make sure you head out there tomorrow night.
Southwest, the Lady Dragons, 15-2-1, 9-0-1 in district here. Last week 11th, have improved up to number up to 9 for this week here. Solidly in first place. I don't know if you'd say that they've clinched already, but are fairly close to clinching the number 1 seed out of that district.
Yeah, they had a big win against Medina Valley, so they kind of separated them about a game and a half. So it's a great win for them because the first turnaround, it was a close one here. They took care of business here. As long as they can win out, I know they had a kind of disappointing tie a few weeks ago, which was rare. If they can win out, against Southside, and if they can win out, like I said, they'll have no problem clinching the district title. And I'm hoping to see if the South Hoyas girls can also, go at least 2-3 deep into the playoffs this year.
Piper Warriors, last ranking 8th, still 8th, 9-1 in district, 16-3-1. For a first-year program here, having a great season in 5A26.
Yeah, what can you say about this team? Full of sophomores and freshmen. Tough loss against Vincent Valley. They gave them a game. They just couldn't take advantage of Vincent Valley having a player down. I think if they could have gotten the goal there, maybe they could have changed things. But like I said, they're going to play again. This time they're going to play at the Coliseum, so they're still in striking range for the district title. They just have to make sure to take care of business. Knock off Canyon, Bernie Champion. They still got some 2 quality components coming up. Even Kerrville Tivy. So but I'm looking forward for the rematch and see how what Piper's learned from that game, learned from the mistakes. and what kind of game plan they're going to have when Central Valley comes visit that, because like I said, that could determine who wins the district.
San Antonio Christian finished the year 15-4-1, 10-0 in district. Last week 10. This week finished 7th. I forgot where they went pretty far in the playoffs.
The
right?
state semifinals.
Yeah, state semis.
Yeah, it's a great season for San Antonio Christian. Like I said, won the district title, deep run in TAPPS playoffs. Just a little fell short, close game. No shame on that. And like I said, hopefully they can build upon that for next year and make another deep run, and hopefully bring a state title here to San Antonio.
Number 6, we already kind of talked to them about previously with their rival, Reagan Rattlers, 13-4-1, 11-1. So they have that half game lead, but as you mentioned, 9th last week. Rides tomorrow, right? As far as whether they move up or slide back down a little.
Yeah, and then like I said, last week we saw them on Friday. Great game against the Glee girls. Great goals, great moving the ball. I think they've kind of bounced. Now they're starting to peak at the right time. And like I said, the big matchup tomorrow, it is more likely is for the district title. Can Reagan win this? Win this? Last year they traded off. They split the series. Can Reagan win this one? And if they do win this one, more likely they are going to be crowned district champions for the 28-6A.
Number 5, JP2 shirts, the Guardians in the TAPPS championship with the win tomorrow. You got to figure they move up because they did last year once they brought home the trophy, but finishing 5th. Last week they were 7th here, but they got one more match, and it's for everything.
Yeah, it's all the marbles, like I mentioned. It's like Canelo Triple G, but part 4 here with the Covenant. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be a fight. But I think I have faith in JP2 here. I think they can pull it off and repeat as state champs. And if they get the state championship, I'm sure they'll move up in the rankings.
And just like with was it the Bowl Champion Series when they picked the college football players? Titles do carry a little bit of weight with Rafa. We'll just leave it at that here. So, and they're off, for that here. So
you can ask Rick Flair. He's got those 16 titles.
Number 4, and then really not a lot of movement at the top. Outside of Lee dropping. Number 4, Bernie, 19-2, 9-0 in district. And we'll go over it in the standings, but I don't know what else you can really say that we haven't already said.
Yeah, they've taken full control of this district. I know it was going to be a dogfight with the two teams there, Wimberley and Davenport, but what the scary part is last year they're very young. This team has got a lot of experience now, and I think they have that bad taste in the mouth from losing in the semifinals last year. And I think they're on a mission to get back, not only get back at it, but get into the title game. And, who's to say we don't have double champions for boys and the girls for 4A here with Bernie. So I think they're playing great. They have a good shot. I know they have maybe some obstacles coming up, but I think there's nothing that they can't handle. They haven't been, like I said, I think they can handle the pressure. And like I said, just keep an eye on this team. I think they're going to do a lot of great things coming up in the playoffs.
Number 3, Alamo Heights, the Lady Mules, 13-0 in districts. Last week 3. No changes in the top 3, but we'll get to it here. Overall, 16-0 and 3 draws. Your thoughts on the Lady Mules?
Yeah, here with the Lady Mules, like I said, they've pretty much wrapped up 27-5A. They had a big win versus Jeff, a 10-0 win. I think that was a statement there, like, hey, this district's over. We're gonna, I know they have some games pending, but I think they're gonna now setting their focus now on the playoffs, and they're gonna have some challenges in the playoffs. But I think they'll do well, and who knows? Maybe they will be that one team that represents us for in Georgetown for 5A.
Number 6. This one kind of surprised me a little bit. 15-0-1. The Lady Taft, the Taft Lady Red Raiders ended up picking a draw. I forgot who they drew against. I can look it up here real quick.
Yeah, Warren.
11-0-1, 15-0-1. So they're semi-perfect season, I guess you could say, because they didn't get the W. Not much of a drop. They were number 1 last week for it here. Your thoughts on just knocking them down just the 1 for a draw compared to Alamo Heights, who's been knocking on the door as well?
Yeah, here with Taft, I was so surprised with that draw with Warren, but I know Warren's been kind of one of those teams that's kind of been chugging along to trying to get that last playoff spot, which I think the tie actually helps Warren, able to steal points from one of the top 3 teams to kind of push them, kind of distance themselves from Sotomayor. So,
they got a game lead now over Sotomayor. Yeah.
So I think Taft, really should have won that game, but like I said, I think sometimes. For what I heard, I guess parking the bus happens a few times and just couldn't figure them out and get the goal. But still, Taft's going to win District 29 6A, and I still see them going deep and, going into, hopefully, like I said, into the regional tournament here in San Antonio.
And I know in past years, and especially as a coach, you probably don't mind a loss or a draw this late in the year just to kind of refocus and kind of say, hey, we've got it. There's some things we have to work on, even though we've had a lot of success. And I'm not saying that they lost, but the draw, I'm assuming the coach is going to be like, okay, look, this is what happens when we're not at our A game. We still need to do a little bit more.
Yeah, I think this is a little wake up call for them, because they were flying high. I think it's good to get humbled a little bit because that'll get you refocused, and they know that they have a target on their back, and they can't take anybody lightly, no matter what the record is. Especially in going into the playoffs. Because you never know they may try to do the same tactic that you did, which caused this result. You got to learn how to kind of get around that tactic and take advantage and get the win. So, but this is a learning experience for them. Because they're still a young team, but I think they'll bounce back and do great things beyond the playoffs.
So your number 1, Smithson Valley, perfect, 18-10, rolling. Last week was 2, moved up to number 1 with the draw out of 5A 26, which with Piper, Canyon, and Bernie Champion, and even if you want to throw in Kerrville Tivy. But you mentioned last week the big one was Smithson Valley and Piper, and obviously Smithson Valley came out with the victory. So your thoughts on the Lady Rangers?
What can you say about Smithson Valley? I think, moving down from 6A to 5A, they've really kind of flexed their muscle. Tough, great win for them, being down a player against Piper, able to get that 2-0 win. They still got some challenges coming up. That Canyon team could surprise them. They can't take them lightly. Same thing with, even though Bernie Champion may not have the best record, they're still your Region 4 champions. And, if they can kind of get like what they did last year, they took their lumps from Driftman Springs and they put it together and made that run. So they can't take them lightly because they're going to be playing. Yeah, they're playoff tested. And then also they still got to play Piper, and they're going to have to go to Piper, and Piper will probably learn from the mistakes, make a new game plan, and who knows, that could be a different result, and that could end up having co-district champions. But kudos to Smithson Valley for being number 1 this week.
So moving on to the boys, dropping out Harlandale, off to the great start, but a couple of losses are starting to pop up here. 19-3-1. 15, they were 13th. 15, Thomas Edison High School, 12-4-2 out of 5A 27, 10-3. Both of them are on your just missed, so they're still on your radar, despite taking an L last week here for the here. But also Davenport, O'Connor boys, and Floresville, all non-ranked, creeping into the Rafa's radars here on the just missed section of your Power 15.
Yeah, like Harlandale, like I say, after that bad loss against Southwest, had another bad loss a week after that. So that's why they dropped out of the top 15. Edison had a big win over the top team in 27 6A, but then they had a loss. So that kind of hurt them a bit, and it may cost them the chances to, within striking range, to get that district title. But still, they're still going to be a dangerous team, going into the playoffs. Davenport, like I said, they've done, bounced back from a tough pre-district season. They're doing well in 26-4A. And like I said, I know that, they had just been trying to challenge Bernie for that district title. Floresville, newcomer, they've done well in that 24A. I think that drop from 5A to 4A has really helped. And you can see just one draw in district play, but they got great quality wins, and I think they're pretty much going to run away with that district. And then my last one is O'Connor. That after a couple of little rough starts, they're starting to bounce back. They're starting to get their stride, and like I said, they're in the top 3 in their district. Just right behind.
Outside of Harlan, they're second.
Harlan,
and they're. It's kind of tight, and we'll get to it on there. But I think they're probably the favorite now for the second seed out of District 29 for that here. So at 15, one of our Section 114 seat mates, his son played for them a few years back as a goalie. Finally breaking in after a very, very slow start for Clemens. Last week was on the just missed. This week they kind of move up and are first in the 6A27.
Yeah, Clemens has put great season. They're kind of starting to take control of that 27-6A, which I thought New Braunfels would be kind of coming in the favorite, but Clemens challenged them, and now they've gotten the results, and so this is a district for them to lose, but I think they'll get better results, finishing off the district play for them.
Don't sleep on the Braunfels. We'll talk about in the standings, but they're still in it.
Yeah.
For here, Smithson Valley, 13-7-1, 8-2. Last week 11th, but they slid down a little bit from 11 to 14.
Yeah, they started out, 6-0, undefeated in district play, but then the big game versus Piper. Piper gets the big win, and like I said, they're in first place in district. And then since I had another loss, but still, I think they've bounced back after a rough start in the preseason. You can see there they've really done well, and I think I said they're still going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs. And just like I said, they have quality coaching. I think they're like I said, they're getting things together. Even those little 2 setbacks in district, nothing wrong with that because they lost to 2 quality teams, but they'll be ready for the playoffs coming up.
13, the third place team right now in the district there. Bernie Champion, 10-1-4, 7-1-2, 14-13. So like I said here, with Smithson Valley, Bernie Champion, half game, 8-2, 7-1-2. So I'm not sure exactly how that equates out for here. A game out, I guess, or so for that second slot, but. Both very quality teams that are fighting for that pivotal second seed.
Yeah, Bernie Champion is really bouncing back from last year's disappointment, and like I said, you can see the district record they have. Like I said, they're still in range for the district title, not too far. They can get some good wins towards the end. They'll be surprised they can get that first seed. But like I said, they still have games coming up with Cincinnati Valley and Piper. That is going to determine as far as the balance there, who gets the district, the first seed there for the playoffs.
Number 12, Lavernia, the Bears, 17-2-2, 5-1 in district. Played it even, 12th last week, 12th this week.
Yeah, they kind of bounced back a bit, after that tough loss against Memorial. They had a big win against Kennedy. But they have a showdown again with Memorial, which is more likely going to be for the district title. Can they get it done? And we'll see. Like I said, they had a great season last year. It was ended disappointing in the first round. this is a time right now to start get some quality wins, get some momentum, and hopefully get off that first round monkey and get into go a little deeper into the playoffs.
Number 11, the Broncos of Brandeis, 13-4-3, 9-3-1. Last week, 7th. So unfortunately, not a good week for them.
Yeah, a couple losses in district play, but no shame on losing to Lee. Like I said, that's a quality team there. One thing with Brandeis, like I said, they're still going to be a very dangerous team in the playoffs, and especially going against 27 6A, whether you're Clemens or New Braunfels, you need to keep an eye. Like I said, this team can really do some damage and maybe pull off that upset in that first round as far as the seedings is concerned. But like I said, they're one of the best teams in the town, and I think they'll do some good things coming up this in the playoffs.
And Mario Garcia says, "Thank you for the show and thank you for your service based on your picture there, Mario. Thank you, for all that you do for us, for that here. Moving on from Brandeis to Johnson, 9-1-2, 11-4-4, 10th. Last week they just missed, so they did pull in, but they're in very top-heavy district. You could argue the bottom's fairly weak, but Johnson Reagan, if it's not for the ladies, that means also for the boys. And just like with the girls, the boys is also a very, very important match as well.
Yeah, Johnson's really bounced back, and like I said, they've kind of charged through. And this is, like I said, Friday's game's an opportunity for them to maybe move up and getting a higher seed in the playoffs. Here with the Ian's Cup.
Right now, based on how my San
they're
Antonio
second right now.
And Max Prep, they're second with Reagan, same record as third. I think they're both fairly comfortable. Going to be finishing ahead of Brandeis, although you kind of open that door. But finishing second and third is I guess there's a home field advantage, right? That first round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, this game, tiebreakers is a big thing, and Johnson really, if they really want to get into stay in that second seed, is they have to knock off Reagan. A tie might, like I said, they still have to play Lee. That's the one thing there. So getting a win tomorrow is important for them because I know they tied Lee the first go around, but who knows what happens? It could happen in the second go around, but maybe they get the upset. So, and then maybe still have if winning those two games still has aspirations to win the district title too as well.
So Memorial, number 9, last week 10, moved up. I think is it Lavernia is which one's it? Let me get the groups mixed up here. Yeah, Lavernia. Kind of the matchup with them, kind of waiting here before I think you see a big jump from Memorial again. 14-4-1, 6-1 in district, 10 last week, 9 this week here. Does it really come down to that matchup with Lavernia before you kind of think that they're a serious player for the playoffs?
Yeah, like I said, they have that win over Lavernia, even though they had that loss with Kennedy. Yeah, with Kennedy, but they bounced back and beat Kennedy. But the game versus Lavernia could determine. I think that's going to be at Edgewood's Stadium. I think next week. That's going to determine whoever wins that game is probably going to end up winning the District 27 4A title, and this is a great opportunity here for Memorial, who, like I said, last year, like I said, in 5A didn't really do much there in that district, but here's a one way to really kind of change things around. Kind of the same story like last year with Sam Houston, how they turned things around and got into the playoffs. Here Memorial has an opportunity not only to get to the playoffs but also win a district title. And maybe be able to surprise some teams in 4A. That'll be maybe a good matchup if they run into maybe a Davenport or even Bernie.
Yeah, next Tuesday, 5 o'clock at Edgewood, Lavernia and Memorial. And then they follow up with the trip to Gonzales, which is a tricky one, as well here. But yeah, Memorial gets Fox Tech, which they should handle. And then they have that big rematch against Lavernia next Tuesday on the 7th for that here. Reagan at last week 6th, this week 8th, 9-1-2, 13-4-4. Kind of slipped down a little bit in the standings just because of how close that 6A 28 is between 2, 3, and 4. And I guess you could include Lee as well. But your thoughts on Reagan's past couple of weeks here?
Yeah, at the game versus Lee, I know that in the tie, they really needed that game to at least kind of get back, creep into the district title race. It set them back a little bit. Like I said, they're still within striking distance. They need a win Friday night, and then hopefully get some help. With maybe Johnson knocks out Lee in the game, and that get them back into play. For the district title, and make that same run like they did last year in the playoffs. I know they just got back their star goalkeeper, made some great saves Friday night. And like I say, he might be the difference maker here in these coming games for them. And but still a very dangerous team. I think, like I said, for all the players that they have, you can see them, also making another deep run like they did last year.
Alamo Heights at number 7, 5th last week here, 17-2, 12-1 in district here. For that here, along those lines here, for Alamo Heights.
Yeah, Alamo Heights, they were cruising along on that District 27-5A until they got knocked off by Edison. Great run by Edison. But like I said, they're still 2 games ahead. Edison wasn't able to take advantage, but, having that loss really hurt them because they would have been 1 game behind, from Mount Hudson, maybe, splitting the district title. But I think maybe, like you mentioned before, this would probably humble Alamo Heights, kind of woke them up, because they know that going into the playoffs, they have to be ready to go and they can't take anybody lightly. But like I said, that's why I have them here at number 7 this week.
Yeah, and I know we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. If you're in a comfortable position like Alamo Heights is, where they've still got a 2-game lead over second place, having a loss, obviously the coach never wants to lose. Don't get me wrong, but having that loss can kind of help. Bring back the team a little bit here. So I'd rather have the loss now than in the playoffs. So Piper, last week 9, this week 6, 7-2-3, 8-0-2, and 5-8-26. Kind of opened up a little bit of a gap, although it's still reachable. It's not a clear cut, but they've opened up a little bit of space where if they do have a drop. Well, I guess Bernie Champion technically only has 1 loss, so through there. But Smithson Valley at 2 losses, and then Canyon at 3. So in a great position for a first year high school.
Yeah, the Piper boys, like I said, they've been on fire. Big win over Smithson Valley, a couple weeks ago. I think that was kind of like their coming out party there to show that, hey, we're for real. They're going to be a very dangerous team in 5A for Region 4. And right now, I think Region 4, like I talked about a few days ago at the 50-50 podcast for Region 4 5A, there's really no clear-cut favorite. But Piper could be that one team that maybe gets to Corpus Christi at that regional tournament. And, right now, the way they're playing, it's, they're at that, the stage they've taken that next step. Like I said, they're going to be a very dangerous team whoever they face in the coming playoffs.
Number 5, Central Catholic, 13-4-1, 9-1 state runner-ups for that here. I think when you put this out, did you already know the result?
Not yet.
So they might get a slight bump for it here. Hopefully it doesn't hurt them too much here. But number 5 for that here, solid, great season as we've kind of already discussed here. Lost it in PKs 5-4. And that's a flip of a coin, 0-0. So great season. But Your thoughts on Central Catholic at the as number 5?
Just for them to bounce back after what happened last year and get to the final. And I really thought that we're going to win it. Just like I said, when you go to PKs, it's like I said, it's a flip of a coin, and it just came out in the short end. But I can't say nothing bad about Central Catholic. So they did a hell of a season this year, and hopefully they'll build upon this. And hopefully, like I said, the next TAPPS state tournament for 2024, they're the ones that are holding the trophy.
Yeah. Number 4, Bernie, 19-3-2, 9-0. Last week, 4th here. So unlike the 4th spot on the ladies, Bernie's showing that they are pretty consistent as the defending state champ.
Yeah, what can you say about the Greyhounds? Like I said, it's just business as usual for them and Coach Strong. Like the mustache for Coach Strong out there. And I mentioned, like in 50-50 last week when we covered Region 4, I don't see any team that can touch Bernie. They're just a well-oiled machine. They have that been there, done that attitude. Like, hey, you need to beat us in order for you to get here. And to me, I still think they're the favorite to not only get back to Georgetown, but also to win it for the 3rd time. I think they can beat Palestine. I know Palestine getting all the coverage. I know I had them ranked number 3, but I think Bernie, they just have the experience, and I think they play in a little tougher district too. That's a key there, I think. And then also, Bernie's played some really tough non-district games. That's going to be the difference maker if those two meet up either in the state semifinal or in the final.
Isn't Palestine and they may be the team that our friend Lethal that covers over in Houston pointed out that somebody got beat 24-0. They're kind of in that district where just the class is a little bit different for the here. But that's a topic for the off season, is what to do when you have these big, especially at the lower schools, and we've kind of seen that with Pearsall as an example here, a brand new program trying to establish, but then you got some veteran programs like Bernie, that's a top tier program on how to kind of balance that out. Southwest Dragons, number 3, as you're probably going to see, there's not going to be a lot of movement at the top because the top teams keep on rolling. 17-1, 10-0 in district. I'm not, I don't think we can really say anything until the playoffs come around, for Southwest, right?
Yeah, and I did have them in my next 5 in my state rankings for pound. Can like I said, can Southwest get by that 2nd round, 3rd round game, for me to really get to that regional final. That's right. What I've been waiting for, and also, I know they made it one year to the regional semifinal, but they didn't have a good result there. And then the last couple of years have fallen short. Can this team take that next step and be one of those kind of like the Lees, the Reagans, the Bernies, and Alamo Heights, be one of those powerhouses, because they're starting, like I said, they're building something great down there. Mm-hmm. Can you, take that next step, that state level, like Lake Travis and so forth. And so I hope
they've improved their schedule. Yeah, you and I, 2 years ago had the discussion of, hey, they're 17-0 or 18-0 at the time, but you're like, they hadn't really been tested. This year they've at least tried to test themselves by going down to Austin. They went to Georgetown, didn't necessarily get the matchups they probably wanted in Georgetown, but they are at least making the effort to play that top tier. So when it comes to playoff time, as you mentioned, they're a little bit more battle tested for that here. So. As the Southwest Dragons fan of this show here, let's go Dragons. Harlan, 15-2-2, 12-0-1, running away with 29. I don't think. I think that's the surprising part about it, is just the gap that they've got on District 29 already.
Yeah, they're like I said, they've been a consistent team the last 3 years, and kudos to the coaching staff there at Harlan. They haven't missed a beat, even with the open in Sotomayor. They're still chugging along, and I know they had a little draw there, but like I said, they're still. Like I said, I think that's a good wake up call for them, just to kind of get them back down to earth. But I think they're going to roll. I think in the playoffs now there might be some challenges. Especially where I'm at right now here in Laredo. There's a couple teams in here, especially in the Valley. They could have some adversity like Brownsville Rivera, Los Fresnos, maybe here with Laredo Alexander, even my old team Del Rio. So they gotta, it's not going to be a cakewalk. Try to get back to the regional tournament like they did last year. But I do see them, doing great things, and hopefully, like I said, they'll get to back to blossom in early March, in early April.
And as you guys can probably assume, number one, Lee, 1703, 10-0-3. We've kind of had that discussion going back and forth between them and Harlan. I think you mentioned Lee's at this point a little bit more proven along those lines here, playing in probably a little bit more tougher district and just their schedule overall. But Lee's rolling, at least here recently. I know they've got a couple of draws recently, but what else are you going to say?
Yeah, they've been. I think they're on a mission from what happened last year. I think they're really focused. I think Coach Rogers has them ready now. They want to get back and add another star to the jersey. And this is one, like I said, the Austin teams, Round Rock, you do not want to play them. I think one game they proved to that was that game at Dripping Springs when they blew them out 5-0. And that's something that, maybe like Travis, I know they had a setback this week against Austin Anderson. They need to keep a look, an eye behind their shoulder, because I think Lee's is coming for them and take back their supremacy for Region 4 for 6A.
All right, so we're going to do the standings a little bit different, just because I want to kind of create a little bit of variety here. And then also there was a comment by the Warren coach here. For that here, who Mario Garcia, who said he is the head coach for Warren girls soccer. They're on the brink of breaking a 17-year drought where no playoffs since 2016, which kind of surprises me. And of course, he mentioned that he's very proud of these girls, which he should be. So, starting out at 26, District 29, Taft, your second-ranked team, O'Connor, Brennan, Warren, 8-4-1. Sotomayor Wildcats 7-4-1, so they got a half game lead on Sotomayor at this point here. But your thoughts kind of on this district as we get closer to the playoffs here. I'm trying to pull up to see if there is pull up Warren's schedule to kind of go over that here. Let's see here. So
with O'Connor and Brennan, go ahead.
Yeah, so they got O'Connor, Warren this Friday, tomorrow. Warren against Stevens, and even though my kids go to Stevens, unfortunately for the Lady Falcons, it has not been a good year. So you figure they got to be fairly set. And then March 14th, I guess probably in the match that you would think that would decide this would be Sotomayor facing Warren at Ferris, at 4 p.m. on the 4 p.m. kickoff, according to my essay on here. So your thoughts with Warren? Gotten 3 matches left, but O'Connor and Sotomayor, two direct challenges for the playoffs.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for them. They're going to have to, at least the tough challenge with, like I said, with O'Connor. If they can get a tie, that'd be great, because that'd be helping them out. Steal some points from the top, one of the top 3 teams, and like what they did with TAPPS. So Sotomayor has to do the same thing too. And if they can't get any points from the top 3.
Here, I thought Warren's schedule was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, Taft at Ferris. Brennan on the 7th at Northside Field 2, O'Connor at Gustafson on March 10th, and then the Warren match on the 14th. So For Sotomayor, they got the top four. So
they got to get through the gauntlet.
That is a rough last 2 weeks right there. So
yeah,
it's and like I said here, especially where Taft. I think Taft dropped a game last week, right? With the draw.
Yeah.
So they're going to be focused. O'Connor and Brennan, are neck and neck. Especially as they're trying to get that second. And even Warren has the opportunity to get only being a game and a half out if you want to kind of look at the draw. Holy cow! It's a lot to play for Sotomayor, especially as a first year organization. Like I said here, for District 29, that top four, wide open right there.
Yeah, so kudos to for me, kudos to Sotomayor, for being a first year program that's challenging for a playoff spot. If they can get some ties might make, like I said, if they're not losses, if you can get some ties and, get that win at the last game against Warren, stranger things can happen. And I know there's some games being played during spring break, so maybe some teams might be missing some players because they're out to South Padre Island and so forth. Who knows, but it's going to, like I said, I knew it was going to come down to that last game but I think Warren did a favor getting that tie versus Taft really helped them because they stole points. They stole points from one of the top three teams. So Sotomayor is gonna have to do the same thing. Maybe get a couple ties, and then we'll see what happens at the end.
Yeah, it should, like I said, the District 29, and like I said, I know Stevens is down, but at least on the JV side, Steven and Warren's, and just because a lot of the kids know each other. Just like with Stevens and Taft, there was just different class there. But I know Warren and Stevens, typically those matches, rivalry. So, maybe Stevens, because the thing that shocks me about Stevens, is they have quite a bit of seniors on their side. So, despite the season that they have, they would love to knock off Warren for that here since they're the closest school for that here. Moving to 28, Reagan, 13-4-1, got a half game lead over Johnson, and you mentioned that they're going to be playing Lee and Brandeis. Lee's kind of in a position where they got to maybe watch out for Brandeis passing them, although they got it goes by points, so I guess that's 8-8. So they probably would have 1 game lead, I guess, by points, because you got the 3, which makes that an 8. So. But you figure Lee's going to probably turn it around soon. But your thoughts on District 28 in the top 4? You think it's kind of set, or you think Clark can make a run to try to get into that 4th slot, or you think the playoff seeds are set for 28?
Yeah, Clark's going to need some help. I think they're going to have to knock off some of the teams above them, and then have Brandeis kind of falter towards the end, in order to get that 4th slot. Lee, I think if they can get a couple more wins, I think they'll clinch their playoff spot. But like I said, tomorrow night it's all for it's winner take all tomorrow between Reagan and Johnson. Whoever wins that game is more likely he's going to win the district title.
Going to be in a good position, yeah. Looking at 27, New Braunfels. I think they're 15th here. Actually, didn't have it updated on there. 6-1-1. Pretty good gap to San Marcos, although San Marcos made a run up, run up the standings. Steele, East Central, Clemens, and Judson. So I think New Braunfels, the Lady Unicorns, pretty safe on probably winning the district here. I think San Marcos and Steele probably pretty comfortable in the playoff spots. Depending on who gets the home field. East Central or the Lady Buffaloes, or even Judson, I guess. Who do you see kind of sliding in for that 4th slot? Out of 27.
It may come down to that game when that rematch, but then. In the playoffs, you may end up with Reagan or you may end up with Johnson.
So it doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter. But it's still be a competitive game. So, but yeah, making the playoffs, it's like I said, it's a it's a good honor. But I know this district's kind of struggled a little bit. Maybe I know not saying the Broncos. Like I said, the Broncos has had a good season. Don't
would
take
you
them
favor them? Would you favor them against?
I think they have a good match. That's a good matchup for them. I think them, even Lee too. I think that's a good matchup for them. Reagan and Johnson, that might be a little, might be a little tall task, but still be a competitive game. But I think Reagan and Johnson still have a little more of that mojo than the Broncos has.
Moving to the 29 boys, Harlan ran away with it as we discussed earlier. Then it's kind of a mess. O'Connor, Warren, John Jay, and Brennan, O'Connor's probably pretty comfortably in making the playoffs, but Warren, John Jay, and Brennan, still anybody's match, and then it kind of drops from there. But your thoughts on 29 out of the boys?
I think, like I said, Jay, Warren still have a shot to get that second seed. Maybe even Brennan too, if they can get start winning some games all the way towards the end. But like I said, Harlan, like I said, they're just a step ahead of everyone. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna come down to the wire. Out of those 4 teams, who gets goes into the playoffs. Like I said, Brennan within striking distance. They're gonna need some wins and also maybe get some help to kind of start moving up a bit as well.
28, Lee, Johnson, Reagan, Brandeis, and then a gap. So top 4 set. I don't think there's any confusion on there. It's just to me, really, I think it's just between who finishes second and third between Johnson and Reagan. That'll probably be settled this weekend, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Mathematically, Johnson and Reagan are still within striking distance of Lee. Right? Of Lee. Like say Johnson knocks off Reagan and Lee, they could literally take over that first spot. Same thing with Reagan. Like Reagan needs to knock off Johnson and need help from Johnson to knock off Lee, then they can probably sneak in and get to that top spot. So, like I said, things are not, like I said, it's not out of the, things are not out of the woods yet. I think a tie tomorrow would really kind of hurt both teams, because that, the kind of distance, I believe, will start distancing themselves already. Brandeis, like I said, I think Brandeis should have no problem clinching, like I said, getting the playoff spot, and maybe get some help and maybe move up into the third or maybe even the second spot. But I'm sure
technically get into the second, but
yeah,
I think realistically, 1 and 4 are probably set. I think just on how they're performing, and I think the winner between Johnson and Reagan, and I'm not sure how tiebreakers would go on that here. And Coach Cano, I know you're on your podcast. I saw that you're on your podcast. Unfortunately, I had got here at 7:30 to start. Got a text that, hey, practice was canceled, so I had to run and go pick up AJ. So we didn't start until 45 minutes later because of the thunderstorm, and I guess it's hailing in some parts of San Antonio and with the wind. So that is why we are still on, and that's why you already did a podcast, wrapped it up, technical difficulties and all. For that here, it's because you're awesome, and unfortunately, damn kids. For that here, I was like, God, because I just walked home, I was setting things up. And bam, I was like, well, you start the wind, you asked about the weather, and I was all like,
yeah.
Well, but yeah.
And I thought it was gonna miss because I saw some radars early in the day, so I thought it was gonna miss it, but then I saw some cloud in Honda. I was like, I think here it comes.
Here it comes. And the wind. AJ made a comment that he kicked the ball, and usually AJ's got a pretty good leg on him. There's Coach. AJ has a pretty good leg on it, but I guess he kicked it into the wind and it went backwards. He's like, I thought 20-mile-an-hour winds wasn't that bad, and I was like, yeah. And that's what you guys talk about that when the regionals are in Corpus is the wind and how that can play a part along those lines. So not necessarily a bad thing here for that here. Coach, welcome. So I'm glad we could do the after hours show for you.
I know. I was like, I already wrapped up a podcast and had technical difficulties and everything. Had a great guest in Coach Tiffany Van Hoos from Abilene, by the way. But man, I wrapped up and then I saw yours on I saw it on Twitter, but I thought it was the replay. I was like, man, these guys are still live. I was like, what are they doing?
We're not doing bracketology just yet.
I know
well, we had a lot to get through the TAPPS playoffs.
Yeah.
Then we did the Rafa 15, and then we're going over the schedule. And the Warren women head coach came on and sent us a few messages. So I wanted to start with them because he mentioned that Warren is on the brink of breaking a 17-year drought for them not making the playoffs for the ladies. So
nice.
that would be pretty cool. And then we were kind of digesting the schedules between them and Sotomayor. And now we're up to District 27 on the boys. Finally, some love for this district with Clemens, 5-0-2. New Braunfels, just like with the ladies, very competitive 5-1-1. And Steele and Judson, probably your top four with San Marcos. Not being as competitive, I think, as you thought, because I think you mentioned you thought San Marcos would make a run, but just haven't so far.
Yeah, they might have some injuries or something, maybe grades too. Who knows? I thought they would maybe be in contention, but kudos for Johnson to kind of holding them off there. They're having a good season. Clemens and New Braunfels, those were the two favorites. I had to give a slight edge for New Braunfels for what they've done the last 2 years. But kudos to Clemens, and I know the rematch is coming up soon, and that could determine who wins that district title. And like I said, Steele, I think they've bounced back. I think they should have no problem getting that third slot for the playoffs. But like I said, all four of them are going to have a tall task with that District 28 6A in the playoffs.
Actually, tomorrow, New Braunfels and Clement at Linenoff Stadium. Kickoff at 7:15, so that's when that rematch is, and then New Braunfels gets.
Is that tomorrow? I thought that was the 10th.
According to my San Antonio, 3-3 New Braunfels.
New Braunfels. Sorry. I thought you said Steele.
Clemens. No.
I thought you said Steele. Gotcha.
Yeah, so that'll be for the district title more likely.
Yeah, if Clement wins, they pretty much lock up the number one seeds. If they lose, then it kind of brings the top, number one seed back into play, doesn't it?
And then that'll be a great matchup between Clemens and Brandeis. And Brandeis is in that 4 slot. That'll be a heck of a game.
Good stuff.
Moving to 28 5A on the boys, Southwest, the Southwest Invitational at this point here with Harlandale dropping a couple of games. Southwest Legacy made the move up, and then Eagle Pass win, 6-3-1. Medina Valley still in it, or you think fell out of it at this point?
I think they're going to need some help. I know they had a bad loss this past week, and they need to get some good wins coming in, and then hopefully Eagle Pass CC win drops a couple of them.
Well, it looks like they have a game. It looks like they have a game in hand though over there, right? I wonder if that's against head-to-head. I wonder.
Oh wow! Mario mentioned a fun fact. Robin were both goalkeepers at St. Mary's. Graduated a year before him, and I believe he comes on your show often. Yeah, he's on the San Antonio FC one here, so. He brags about how well he was at St. Mary's, but I'm not saying anything.
we gotta know what the better goalkeeper was.
Keeper wars.
Keeper wars. We went the last year that he was okay.
He was all right. That's how he is today. So he was all right. It's getting late. District 4, 27, Alamo Heights, 17-2, 12-1, Edison, pardon me, 10-3. And then really the race is for 3-4, spots 3-4 with the Brackenridge, Jeff, and MacArthur.
Yeah, Edison had that big one versus Alamo Heights, but then they lost. That could have probably cost them at least a share of the district title. But I think it's going to come down. Like I said, Edison and Jeff still have to play at the end of the district district season. So that could be determine if Jeff gets in the playoffs or Breckenridge sneaks in and steals it from them. Maybe even also for MacArthur too.
Yeah, so, Breckenridge and Jeff, according to here, my SA Breckenridge, Jefferson on the 3rd, that's the last of their scheduled games. And then what was the other one? And then, that's it right there, right? Tomorrow, Breckenridge and Jeff?
Yeah. So if Jeff can knock off Brack, they pretty much eliminate Brack. And like I said, I think these games are now elimination games. Who gets for those playoff spots?
And Breckenridge, Breckenridge plays Jefferson, and then March 13th plays Alamo Heights. So, for Brack, for Brack, it's a must-win tomorrow. Then, right? For that here, because not saying Alamo Heights won't lose, but they've only got one loss. 13 games in. So do you think MacArthur's kind of safe then? Let's see who they play.
So it looks like Mac kind of recovered there, right, Rafa, after kind of a slow start?
Yeah, because they had a tough loss against Brack in PKs.
Right,
that was one of the games I saw early in the season. But they've kind of pulled it together, and we'll see how they do well, moving forward into the playoffs.
And I wonder if my SA has the full schedule, because they still have MacArthur having Lanier, Burbank, Alamo Heights, and Highlands, which would throw the games completely out of hand. So might have to double check their schedules on that here, because like I said here, for Brack, it's saying only one game out, which would seem kind of odd ending the season a week early. But there is that, it is an uneven district for that here. But so that might be something that we have to do a little bit more research on. But yeah, Jefferson Brack, huge match for 27 boys. 26, one of the toughest districts in 5A. Piper 8-0-2, Smithson Valley 8-2, 8 wins, 2 losses. Bernie Champion, even though in 3rd, 7-1-2, kind of a little bit deceiving, but based on how they had the rankings. And then Canyon 6-3-1, and Kerrville Tivy not out of it yet at 5-4-1, a game back out. So I think there's a battle for the top 3 and a battle for that 4th slot.
Yeah, I think Piper, if they can win out, they'll win the district title. I think they're favored to do it. I think they'll have some tough matchups coming up. Kerrville's going to need some help. They're going to have to beat some teams above them and to steal that last spot. But I think Comal Canyon with Sellers at being there as their goalkeeper, I think he'll keep them there. And he's been keeping them in games. So, and don't count out Canyon from moving. They could move up. Like I said, they can surprise champion, maybe even Spencer Valley, and maybe even rocket up to that 2nd slot.
Yeah, the only thing that's keeping Canyon from being a bigger story in this district is been Bernie Champion's season so far.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a great solid season in this district, right? Highly competitive district. And yeah, I mean, Rafa's right. Nico Sellers for New Braunfels Canyon, I think, if they lock in, obviously Tyvy's, they're still in it, but they lock in that 4 seed, that 20, whoever that is coming out of 25 5A, which could be what I think Leander Rouse.
Cedar Park.
I would not. Yeah, I would. That's going to be a tough out in New Braunfels Canyon, particularly because of Nico Sellers in goal. Solid defense, and he's going to keep them in games.
And he'll be the X factor if they go to PKs in the playoffs. That's the thing, and that's probably one team you don't want to go to a PK shootout, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, those are going to make some. If you go back to that one real quick, Harry, these four, and you start to look at them closer as the district races kind of start to take shape. How this one matches up with 25 5A is going to be very interesting.
So I might have to do some research on 25 5A is what you're telling me for these last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
just to kind of have that up there. All right, I got
just a
you.
little-
give me some homework here.
little production note.
I got you.
So
See, we're trying to be like the 50-50 podcast. Little tips like that help.
we're a little. Hey, we got 6 hours to fill, man. We're good. Or now, according to Rafa, he said it's
Speaking of
9
which-
hours. 9 hours.
Well,
Yeah.
So I
think
do
we're gonna
got
be
some.
having it in one central location where I think we're all going to be there.
So I don't.
I know you got to cross Texas to get there. From where Coach Cano lives, but with Rafa and I, we are on that side of the state.
For me, I'm good, but I think I don't know. We're still the teaser has been put on hold because I don't know, Rafa. I think Rafa might have to have some offline production discussions with you. So I don't know yet, but the key, yes. So we know the date for bracketology. We just don't know where yet. So
the time or where or how.
Right, Rafa?
Yeah, but I have some good news on that. I was able to kind of get out of that.
Oh, okay.
Because I did find out actually they had moved the time. It was going to be till 6 o'clock. So I told them, oh no, I can't go. So
off record, we had talked about possibly your schedule here, but moving on to 28 girls Southwest 9-0-1, Medina Valley 8-2, Southwest Legacy 3-2-5, McCollum 4-4-2. And Harlandale 3-4-1, still in it. And I guess even South Side, pardon me. I didn't make that adjustment here with South Side. They should have been moved up further, probably to fifth here with the 3 ties for that here. So, your thoughts?
Yeah, Southwest has this on the bag already. But they already beat Medina Valley twice. Medina Valley just needs to make sure they don't slip up. Just keep that second seed because it's going to be important for them.
Oh, they'll keep the second seed. They've got a two game lead on the rest of them at least.
Yeah, then Legacy, like I said, Legacy and McCollum are not out of the woods yet because you still have Southside and Harlandale still chomping at the bit for those 2 spots.
27, Alamo Heights 16-0-3, Jefferson 11-2, MacArthur 9-3, Edison 8-5, and then they kind of opened up a 2-game lead over Highlands for that here. So this one's kind of set, right? Even probably order of finish, right? I guess MacArthur, Jefferson, where they're playing. I think they're playing on the boys, right? So I'm assuming they're playing on the girls for that here. So. Outside of that, really, it's kind of set, right?
Yeah. Well, MacArthur, like I said, they can get a win. They can leapfrog and get that second spot. And like I said, Jeff's got them and Edison. And Edison, like I said, they're still trying to kind of sail, keep pace. Because like I said, they're not that far to sneaking up to that first spot as well. So, but Jeff could, if they lose 2 games, they just drop down and Mac get that second spot, and I think that'll be a benefit for Mac for them to get a better, seeding where it gets 28 5A.
Sounds like it's either hailing or raining outside here. Smithson Valley in 26, 18-0, 10-0, number 1 team, and the the Rafa Power 15. Piper 9-1, Canyon 8-2, and then Bernie Champion and Kerrville Tivy kind of battling for that 4th slot.
Harry, did you say you're getting hail there right now?
It sounds like it.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, it's hailing inside the Alamo Dome right now for the women's basketball final 4.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I saw a clip of that. So anyway, just
Harry, Yeah, Royce had mentioned that. I think he said that on the text.
Yeah, it's like hailing so hard outside. It's hailing in the Alamo Dome. So, just a
Well,
side note.
unlike you guys, I'm trying to, keep track of the screens here, let alone pulling up on the phone.
No, this was before. This was right before I stumbled across the fact that you guys were still
Oh
on.
yeah, Royce, 38 minutes ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, not to throw it off, but yeah, back to 26-5A here. So, Rafa, thoughts?
I think it's the race is not over yet. I think Piper. I know that loss. I know Cincinnati Valley was down a player. They're still able to pull it off that 2-0 win. But who's to say that on that second go around, because they have to go to the Coliseum at Piper High School, and maybe they have a different game plan, and maybe they pull it off and they end up having to split the district title. But also don't kind of come out the Cougarettes, because they can still pull up a couple upsets. Like I said, only a couple games behind. The surprise is Bernie Champion. Tough year, but even I'll still think they're going to make the playoffs. But what they did last year, especially off what they did to Dripping Springs, if they can kind of get healthy or get it together, that's one. Whoever's the number one seed in 25-5A, probably don't want to play them, because they can probably put. That's going to be a real tough matchup going in, and I could see an upset there.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think we talked about it on what was it, Rafa? I think it was on Inside
Monday.
Texas High School Soccer.
Yeah.
We talked about it where, if you're Bernie, if you're a number one seed right out of the other district, out of 25-5A, it's like I would not want to see, even if they're a 4 seed, I would not want to be having to play Bernie Champion as a 4 seed. I was like, great, we got a number one seed, great. What's our prize? We get to play the Bernie Champion. So yeah, because they're, like I said, they're still getting healthy. I know that for a fact. They're still getting healthy. Slow start, and and then you have they got a great coach in Coach Carol Walters, who's so experienced in terms of being there and understanding how to manage and get through the state playoffs, right? The state tournament, one game at a time. So I wouldn't go against them, but yeah, I think in this district, all roads point to March 14th, right, which will be Smithson Valley at Piper. That's going to be a heck of a game. So Tuesday, March 14th, and then Piper and Canyon, New Braunfels Canyon, I should say. Piper and New Braunfels Canyon play tomorrow, 7:15. That could be small teaser here, possibly match that the 50-50 podcast might be at tomorrow night. So we'll see.
So if I was a gambling man, that's where I could probably find you, is basically what you're telling me.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely.
You're like, I don't want Harry around me. 4A, Pleasanton, 7-0-1, Uvalde 6-1, rebounded after a real slow start for the Lady Lobos. Floresville 6-2, Somerset 3-1, Hondo Poteet and the Mavericks, Pearsall, the Lady Mavericks, first year program. Hondo and Poteet, two second year programs, right? Or has Poteet been around a little bit longer?
Both second year, both are second year.
Both second year programs. So obviously taking some lumps in this division, but like I said here, Pleasanton and Uvalde and Floresville both making statements.
Yeah, Pleasanton, like I said, kind of pushed forward, taking control of the district. They still got a matchup coming up with Uvalde. Uvalde, like I said, they had a good year last year. I'm sure they're probably lost a couple. They went deep. They lost a couple graduation. Floresville, as expected, moving up from 5A to 4A, I knew they were going to be a challenger. And they're still, like I said, they're still within that striking distance for the district title. And then it was going to kind of be like a dogfight for the last spot. And it turns out the Bulldogs are winning the fight. And I think more likely those are going to be 4 teams for 4A.
Yeah. Pleasanton
travels to Pleasanton tomorrow at 7:00. So we'll have a clear indication if who's winning the district.
Pleasanton. Uvalde at Pleasanton. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Pleasanton is. I can tell you, they're. I've seen them up close and personal in the Wimberley showcase, and they're a tough. They're a tough team. They're a physical team, very physical team, and they are going to be a tough out in the playoffs. So.
and then Uvalde. Their next 4 are at home. So, which I have a feeling traveling to Uvalde is probably not the easiest for San Antonio area schools.
Yeah.
For that here. Although, interesting topic, on that here. My son asked me, "What was your longest road trip?" And it was like 6 hours. I lived in rural Colorado,
Yeah.
and we went across state. And he's like, "Wow!" I was like, "Yeah, that's how it happens when you live in the country."
Yeah. 6 hours.
Not wrong way. And for a District 427, Kennedy 6-1-1, Lavernia 5-0-2, Gonzalez 4-1-2, kind of the sneaky surprise popping up here, and then good luck picking the 4th one, as we've said all season here for that here. But the Kennedy at Lavernia, and I know Rafa, you mentioned that a couple of times you thought Lavernia would have controlled this. But Gonzalez, kind of that sneaky one coming up. They got off to a slow start, but have started putting some wins on the in the district.
Yeah, Gonzalez is another one that I got to see. We didn't go head to head with them directly, but got to see them play a good bit. They can play. And the more you watch them, the more you start to appreciate them. Well coached, well disciplined team. So I think this is kind of one of those 1, 2, 3, where on any given day one can beat the other. So between Kennedy, Lavernia, and Gonzalez. So yeah, don't count them out. Yeah, yes, they have 2 draws, but so does Lavernia. But it looks like they have one. No, they don't have a game in hand there. But yeah, I think it's just going to be a matter of who still has to play who, I guess, in this one.
Let's see here, Kennedy, San Antonio, Kennedy. So girls, make sure here. So Kennedy has, Kennedy just lost to Gonzalez on the 27th. They play Yoakum, Fox Tech, Lavernia, Kennedy on the 13th, and then Young Women's for that here. So for Kennedy, you figure the tough match would be Lavernia. And for Lavernia,
Lavernia still has Gonzalez and Kennedy, and then they finish with Yoakum on the 15th.
So it looks like they still have
but they get Gonzalez at home though, if that matters.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that Monday, the 13th of March, they play Kennedy at 10 a.m. So that's a little early game. So that could be a difference too, playing those early games. Who's waking up, who's had their coffee and ready to go.
Yeah, those are always interesting because one team shows up and the other team is still kind of wishing they
sleepwalking.
Hit the snooze alarm. Yeah.
So moving on to 26 girls, 4A, Bernie 9-0, perfect so far. Wimblers 6-2-1, Davenport 6-2-1, and then you got to figure Canyon Lake or Fredericksburg is the favorite over Northern Oaks, although Northern Oaks technically still in it, but they play a very limited schedule for that here. But Wimberley and Davenport for that second slot, and then Fredericksburg and Canyon Lake for the 4th slot.
Yeah, like I said, I think this is all. Like I said, Bernie's pretty much wrapped this up. It's just see if they can finish undefeated in district play, and then I think that game between Wimberley and Davenport is going to determine who gets that second seed, and that's going to be important
too.
They
already played it. They played it this week.
Played it?
The 28th, Davenport beat them 3-2.
Yeah, that was
so they'll have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, because they drew earlier 2-2 through there. So yeah, Davenport's got Canyon Lake, Fredericksburg, and then Great Hearts for that here. So who does Wimberley got then? Wimberley.
I think
so Wimberley's got Bandera, Bernie, and then Great Hearts, Northern Oaks through there. So
I was going to say Wimberley still has to play Bernie. Yeah.
So that's probably the stickler for them on trying to get that second slot.
Yeah, that's a must-win for them there. If Wimberley wants to try to contend that second seed.
And then Canyon Lake.
Coach, do you think you see anybody beating Bernie in the playoffs? Maybe
In the playoffs? Yeah, I mean, girls here, obviously, you still have to. I think it's all roads lead to them, probably them and Salina, and then
But as far as for Region 4.
Oh, in Region 4.
No.
It's going to be tough. In Region 4, I don't know. I think it's what if they come across maybe a Wimberley for a third time, maybe someone like that. Someone who's very familiar with them, kind of i.e. the example we saw last year with Dripping Springs and Bernie Champion.
Bernie
right?
Champion.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not impossible, but yeah, I think right now as you look across Region 4, that's going to be it's Bernie versus versus the field, I think.
And for that 4 slot, the matchup tomorrow between Fredericksburg at Canyon Lake really probably is the one that's going to decide it, because Canyon Lake's got Davenport, Bandera, and Bernie, compared to Fredericksburg's got Northern Oaks, Great Hearts, Northern Oaks, Davenport, and Bandera. So to me, Bandera and Bernie, I'd rather be playing Bandera. So.
Who won the first one, Harry? Can you see that between Fredericksburg and Canyon Lake? Was it Canyon Lake?
Yeah, 6-2, February 7th.
Okay. Yeah.
So Canyon Lake is the host of the rematch here.
If Fredericksburg wins that one, that could get messy between the remaining games they have. How that could play out, that could get messy.
Moving to 28 boys, Floresville, Uvalde, Hondo, and then Pleasanton. Hondo, Pleasanton, Somerset. Like I said here, we've talked about this as Floresville's district since early on, and Uvalde's kind of stepped up for the second slot, and Hondo, Pleasanton, and Somerset flip a coin, in my opinion.
I think that benefit from that 5A 4A drop for Floresville, because they were in that brutal district with Southwest, so I think that's helped them pretty much take control of this district. We'll see how far they go as far as the playoffs, where they match up. Uvalde, like I said, rough start, but they've bounced back. Hondo, second year, we thought they were close last year to almost making the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It looks like this year they're finally gonna. I think they're gonna pull through, and I think Pleasanton should fend off Somerset and get that last playoff spot.
You've been a little disappointed in Pleasanton, because I think earlier in the year you thought that they were, maybe not up there with Floresville, but I think you thought they would be more up there with Uvalde than battling Hondo and Somerset, on here.
Yeah, they've had some good teams in the past, and not that maybe because they've been in this district for a while that they would, be, I guess, probably one of the runner-ups, and also challenge Uvalde. But I don't know, this year maybe could have injuries could be a key. That's sometimes usually the case. Or just maybe inexperience. Maybe they had some turnover from last year. But like I said, they're still, like I said, in the playoff hunt. I think, like I said, they are going to fend off, I think, Somerset and go in. But it's going to be a tough matchup for them when they go up against 29 6A. 29 4A.
Yeah. 27 on the boys. Memorial 6-1, Lavernia 5-1, Kennedy, and then it's a mess. Gonzales, I guess, through their hair. Fox Tech, Yoakum, but I think the slight advantage would be going to Gonzales just because they play looking at their scores, a little bit tougher defense, and especially in Gonzales, they tend to do a little bit better. But 3-horse race on this one here as well.
Yeah, I think this one's going to come down to the winner of the Lavernia Memorial game. Whoever wins that game, I know they're meeting up. I think they're playing, I think, on Tuesday at 5. If Memorial wins that game, they're going to win the district title. But I expected more from Lavernia, especially from the team from last year. They had a lot of players coming back. I didn't think they would struggle, with Kennedy or Memorial. But, this is their opportunity here to kind of step up, steal one back, and get that number 1 seed. I think Kennedy's probably going to end up being number 3. in this case, I think it's going to be because of the tiebreaker. I think because of goal differential. But Gonzalez could be the key. It could be that monkey wrench for some of the top three teams. They've since they've been in soccer, they've had some good teams, and you can't count them out. They may throw, like I said, they could throw a curveball a couple of these teams, and unless, like I said, Fox Tech, I don't know if they'll have enough to get in, but I think they're more likely there's going to be your set 4 teams for the playoffs.
I will say Lavernia, since they lost to Memorial, scored 24 goals and hasn't allowed a single one. So, that may have been that wake-up call that you're looking for that we've talked about here. Now they get the rematch, against Memorial, but just kind of looking at their performance, they have rebounded very well and piled on, some pretty big scores since that loss on the 10th. And 26, Bernie, Davenport, Fredericksburg, Wimberley, and then the gap here, for there. So playoff, I think, are set outside of the seeds. Before that here, Bernie, Claire, I think you already mentioned this. You don't really see anybody contending them until the finals of the regional, or if that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't think anybody in Region 4 that can, match up with them. I don't think Hidalgo, I don't think Corpus Christi, London, or Progreso has enough. I think Coach Strong has them dead set for that three-peat, and I think they can beat Palestine in the final. I think they have they're in a tougher district. They play tougher quality opponents in non-district play. Even though you saw Palestine win 24-0, that doesn't really help them, especially against a team, playing against a first-year team like that. So, like I said, plus, Coach Strong has that experience for getting this team prepared, and they're like a coach mentioned, they're like, hey, you need to beat us. They have that kind of the laissez-faire type of attitude. Hey, we've been here, we've done that. We're going to go out there and take care of what we need to do.
Yeah. And the word on the street is that he has them all attempting to grow the same mustache just like him in time for the playoffs. So they're going to be sweet. I would not want to play against a team full of mustaches like that. I'll tell you that. So.
Are they going to match up with Diamond Hill? For the Diamond Hill drivers team.
There you go.
We joke about that, but Tulsa just signed a 14-year-old to an academy contract. He's got the Marbach, what I call the Marbach special mustache as well. So
the Marbach
special. I'm sure he wasn't for Diamond Hill Jarvis.
He may be, but if you look at the picture, and like I said, kudos to Tulsa for signing a 14-year-old. Don't get me wrong, and especially for the for the kid. But yeah, I was looking. I was like, dang, he's already got facial hair and
like this is their senior team. This is their senior team. Their actual, not their.
Yeah, they signed to their academy. Well, to basically, it's a USL academy contract, kind of like Tim Holt, kind of like Holt's son. On so where he could actually play, but he doesn't give up his eligibility for college.
Yeah.
So which is awesome. The youngest player for that, because I think Leo was the youngest before, right? 15 and change for that here. So kudos to Tulsa on that here. And that's it, guys, as far as for the standings for that here. Coach, we didn't get your thoughts on the TAPPS playoffs. Your thoughts on was it round 4 for JP2 and I'm drawing a blank on the
Geneva.
Oh, who they have in the final, or who are we talking about here?
Jump ball 2, and who is it?
Who they have in the final? Or who they're playing?
The Convent school.
Covenant.
The Convent school.
Yeah.
Covenant. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I know Covenant is strong. I haven't seen them personally. Haven't seen much on them, and obviously JP2 there has that pedigree. And I know I was in speaking with you all earlier that this may be, obviously this is an exceptionally, they're a talented squad, exceptionally well coached. But this, them already being here is an incredible run. But if they pull this off and win that state title, this will probably be the title that maybe is the most impressive, I think, in my opinion. Just because they lost their stud striker who had tons of goals last year, and this team is a lot of talented players on this team. But they've obviously had to adjust their style, their philosophy, not necessarily their style of play, a little bit, and still going on a great run. And they just knocked off a very talented Bernie Geneva squad earlier today. So so something to think about. I was having this conversation with another coach yesterday. Is since I think maybe 2019, 2020, somewhere in there, where they returned back to this traditional state format. Semifinal followed by the final the very next day, is what will, after today, right? Because oftentimes you get the semifinal is like everything but the kitchen sink to try to get through and make it to the final. Is what will the legs look like, tomorrow, right? What will the games look like in the final? Because as we all know, in that kind of format, the final is often ugly, nowhere near as nice as as the semifinal.
Is there any reason why they don't space it out? It seems like you could, especially with the boys, just, maybe do every other day. Is it just because of the cost of housing and stuff?
Yeah. Cost, money, the management piece. And those are days that they have to pay for the field every day. All of that cost to the schools, the amount of school missed, all of that. It's an easier sell back to back than spacing it out with a recovery day in between.
Any final thoughts, guys? It's 10 o'clock here, almost 2 hours in. My dog's saying, why am I still here?
Like I said, just looking forward for Fridays. There are going to be some great matchups Friday, like Ian's Cup, and like I said, Schertzen versus New Braunfels. It's Warren, O'Connor,
Piper Canyon, Piper New Braunfels Canyon.
Piper Canyon.
Yeah.
A lot of playoff games on the line.
And you're not coming back, right? Because you'll be coming back from Laredo, right? So no game for you this weekend.
No, I'll be tomorrow. I'll be at United South, and then I head out to Victoria in the afternoon. I'll be there. Then I come back Saturday to do another fair at the AT&T Center. But Monday I'm back at it. Who knows where I'll be. Tuesday I have an eye for one game, so we'll see if I can head over there and do that. Get back to the grind.
I was gonna say, did you switch hotels or something, or a hotel room? Looks like you're in something totally different from the other day.
Yeah, the Laredo, the hotel prices are too high. So this is the economy, good state rate. I'm here at extended stay. So some of the other recruiters that I work with this week, work with some of the prestige schools, so they have a bigger budget than I'm accustomed to. So. But they took me to the nicest places to eat this week, so I'm not complaining about that.
There you go. Yeah, that's how you do it.
Well, Coach, it was a pleasure having you on. We'll see you, 9 days? Or is it, no, not well, yeah, we might see you on the 11th, right? Are you going to the SAFC match?
No, actually, no. Unfortunately, I did the math on that. I'll actually be out of town. I got to go. I got to go early spring break. I got to go to El Paso, visit the family, and check on my parents. So unfortunately, it dawned on me last night actually that I'm actually going to be out of town for the season opener. So bummer. But I'll be back for everything else. So looking forward to that.
And then we will be kind of finalizing our bracketology and kind of going through there, just with work schedules and travel schedules and family schedules and all that fun stuff. Hard to get together. I got a coach already gave me some homework to start, seeing what the districts are going to be here. So I'll start going through and seeing if I can dig some records up.
Appreciate you.
Good luck with the Valley for that here. So, but Any final
I have to-
thoughts,
we have to-
Rafa or Coach?
We might have to send Edson a message to tell the Valley people to send their stuff on time on certification day, so we have the brackets ready to go.
Oof, yeah. We'll see what that looks like. But now, quick final thought for me, Harry. Wanted to just mention really quick. We posted 50/50 podcast posted something earlier today on social media on Twitter. The kind of thoughts,
yeah.
prayers are
That's
with the Cattle Mills High School community, and one of their players, the Lady Foxes, Victoria Mendez, and her family. Victoria went down on February 15th in I guess a very, very, very bad
Freak accident, right?
mid-air collision. Yeah, and so they opened up a GoFundMe for her and her family because it is that significant, and I'm happy to see at least that it's just to see what's happening right now with the Texas high school soccer community in support of in support of a community right now is pretty awesome. So if you get a chance, it's floating out there, and I can it's on one of my posts, and I know you all I think you all put something out on that too, but
We retweeted it.
Yeah. So Victoria Mendez and the Cattle Mills, Cattle Mills High School family, and the Fighting Foxes, the Lady Foxes, we're with you. We're thinking about you, and if you can, and if you're willing, please maybe consider donating. And if you can't donate, just share if you can, because right now our high school soccer community is needed. So,
Especially like a freak accident, is my understanding here.
Right.
I don't know why I can't find that tweet all of a sudden, because I remembered that I got thrown off by having to go pick AJ right back up. So I've been scrambling since then here.
Yeah, I can
yes.
I can send it to you here.
Yeah, just like in here. I know I retweeted it.
Yeah, but if any of the San Antonio teams are watching, like I said, it would be great to help donate. Help out part of this is part of the fraternity, the sorority of the high school soccer. It's the extended family. So
and I can share this too. Is not that it really matters, but the Cattle Mills community is awesome, man. They are humble. I had the privilege of having them on the 50/50 podcast earlier this year, both coaches, and you could just tell, right? Sometimes you can just tell within the community and how they're just all in for each other. And it's a great group. Very unfortunate, obviously, and just kind of want to try to see what we can do to support.
All right. Well, my dog has got to go back outside because we brought her in for the storm here. For that here. There, here's the fox here. Finally found it here. So here it is. From here, it's a GoFundMe for, for one of their players here injured. If you go to the GoFundMe, it definitely gives you for Victoria Mendez for here, where basically she's already been in the hospital for 2 weeks, and she's going to be in for at least another 4 to 6 weeks here. It looks like here, as she has to learn how to walk again here. So they set a goal of 15,000. They're almost at 9,500. So if anybody can help out, like I said here, we all know that playing sports, especially at the high school level, a lot of times it's there's no worries for major injuries, but unfortunately every once in a while there is a one that pops up, and unfortunately for Miss Mendez, it happened to her. Rafa, you want to close us out tonight?
Sure. Like I said, thank you guys for coming out. Like, I know we had a little late start because of the storms, but top 15 was great. We'll see what happens in a couple of weeks because we're at the final grind of the season's already going to be regular season almost over. So we'll find out. So these district races, who comes out on top, and then from there we'll see who's our contenders and who are our Cinderellas coming into the into the bracketology.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for everybody tuning in. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Mario, for the comments here. And we may have to see if we can get you and Robert on a show together to kind of share goalkeeping stories at St. Mary's, or at least maybe you can give us some dirt on Robert for here. However you want to do it. won't object. But thank you for everybody tuning in. What's Life Without Goals? We may have a San Antonio FC fan cast show on Sunday. I guess it depends if there's any news. Surprisingly, there has been no news from San Antonio FC this week. So
Yeah.
go figure.